Hello, I'm Scotty the Rocker Engineer. I'm back on the road again for a 630-mile trip, but let's start with an executive summary, shall we? After almost 2,600 miles, including today's trip, and many public charging, I spent less than 162 pounds on EV charging, as opposed to more than 337 pounds what the diesel cost with my Red Gorgeous would have been. I didn't waste any time on public charging either. For today's 630 miles long trip, keep watching and I will put the links of the previous journeys in the comment section so you can double check those as well. This is today's episode Journey on the Map. After I stay over in Wigan, I will have 3 customers visiting that area. Then I will drive to Sheffield for the night. Next morning, I see a customer in Sheffield and I drive home and pick my daughter up from her school. This is my starting odometer and state of charge. This morning I did a school run and didn't charge up my car again with expensive day rate. That's why I'm leaving with 93% state of charge now. I'm getting close to the 75% state of charge. Remember, I left with 93% after 50 miles long school run. So, to see what the 100% range would be today, I will add 15 miles to the reading we will see on the dashboard and then multiply that with 4. I drove 51.8 miles since I've left from home, plus 15 is 66.8 with a quarter of the battery. Times 4 is around 267 miles of range. Well, the hotel is 246 miles from home as far as I remember, plus 15 would require 261 miles of range. Oof, it's gonna be tight as it stands now. Well, I will need to hold my nerves to keep pushing. It's late and dark. I don't wanna stop at all, especially not for charging. Last time I thought when the battery state of charge is 100% or in a high 90s, you cannot fully benefit from regenerative braking. And today morning is a great example for that. Our route to the school starts with considerable amount of downhill, which normally sends charge to the battery, but today I left from home with full battery, so there wasn't where to charge to. In the meantime, driving home from the school run is the same uphill. As a result, on the journey, which normally takes 5 to 6% of the battery below at least 90% state of charge, my consumption was 7% today. Now it's time to check how many miles I did while I emptied the battery to the half. Okay, 120 and a half plus 15 times 2 is 271. That sounds better. Not a huge margin though, but it suggests that I will have 10 miles-ish range left when I arrive, around 4%. In episode 4 on the 950 miles long road trip, I drove up to this hotel. Then I started at 100% and arrived with 16, which ran 290 miles total range. But the weather was warmer and there were some slower, busier parts on the road. If I could achieve similar economy, then I would arrive with 9% state of charge today. Okay, it's time to have another range check. It's 189.4 plus 15, let's say 205, divided by 3 is a bit more than 68, times 4 is 272 full battery range prediction. So far so good. Okay, I arrived to the hotel. I have 8% battery left and I drove 242.8 miles, plus 15 is 257.8 divided by 0.92. I need a calculator for that. And it is 280 miles of range, which isn't bad at all. You can see I got 70.72 kWh charge overnight and my battery is 100%. Let's go, do some work. I've just left from my third meeting today and I'm heading to Sheffield. There is a lovely road between Manchester and Sheffield across the Peak District. I hope the Satnav will take me on that. It should, unless there is some major roadwork. I'm getting to 75% state of charge and I will make it to Sheffield conveniently. The total drive today is only 160 miles or so, but still I think it is always interesting to watch the consumption, right? Well, at least I hope you enjoy it anyway. Okay, just turned to 75% and 68.3 miles driven. Multiplied by 4, that is a bit more than 270 full battery range today. Well, it's okay. Now this is the road I talked about earlier. It is a really nice area. It is a shame it's so busy. You know, I find it fascinating that on a road like this, which is not very wide and not very straight, and even on smaller roads the speed limit is 60, but on the motorways it is only 70. Probably, well, actually I'm pretty sure. UK is the slowest country in Europe when it comes to the speed limit. Well, the economic growth isn't lightning fast either. I mean, maybe these two have some relationship to each other. Who knows, maybe if they increase the speed limit on the motorways to, let's say, 100 miles an hour, the GDP growth will kick off as well. I mean, it was a test, right? If nothing else, at least we could drive at reasonable speed. Okay, dream on. Let's get back to the cold reality. See how many miles I did with half of a battery. It is 131.8, which is 263.6 miles full range. I guess it's slower due to I have some heating on, and the frequent acceleration doesn't help either. For sure, I get power back when I'm braking, but not as much as I consume to pick up the speed again. Here we are in Sheffield. It's dark again, but hey, this part of the fun, right? In this parking there's supposed to be EV chargers, and I'm planning to sleep through my charging again. What a waste of time, right? Now let's see, will it open? And it opens. Cool. Sometimes I like the 21st century, not every time. Will it open? Cool. Oh, look at that. At the most convenient location, many available charger. Huh, cool. So now let's park the car and plug it in. And let the physics, okay, and the chemistry just do the job for me. Okay, I'm always almost there. Almost there. Here we go. Well, I arrived with 42% state of charge and I did 164.2 miles. This is actually quite good. It's around 283 miles for full range. I guess, since the 50% check, the road was mainly downhill, that's why the considerable consumption improvement. Now tomorrow I have some 210-ish miles to drive, I think, so technically I don't need full battery in the morning. I could limit the charge in the car up to, let's say, 90%, but if I will be on time, I will pick up my daughter and also go for some shopping maybe before I would plug in the car at home. So let's just charge it up fully. So, the plan worked well. I finished my meeting and already on the road for a while. I even had my lunch. I will not need to stop for charge, of course. Let's see today's range prediction at 50% state of charge. It's just turned to 50% and I did a bit more than 129 miles, which is 258 miles of range with full battery. Well, isn't extremely good, but maybe I was a bit more enthusiastic heading home, you know. Almost there. I still need to pick up my daughter and then I can see the bottom line for today. This is it. A ride with 17%, bit more than necessary, but anyway. Did 222.9 miles consuming 83% of my battery, which means, let me see, 268.5 miles full range. So let's see the Excel. I started the trip with 42,460 on the Odoo and 93% battery. I arrived to the hotel in Wigan with 8% battery charge. Recharged the car with 70.72 kWh, which cost me nothing. I explained the real deal of this hotel in the 950 miles trip part 2, but essentially you can charge up your car for free overnight. When I finished the day in Sheffield, I still had 42% and I added 45.16 kWh for 29.92 pounds to fill up the battery. A ride home with 17% and added 62.24 kWh to bring the battery up to 93%, up to the same charge I've left from home 2 days earlier. That was another bit more than £4 cost. My total cost was just over £34 as opposed to a diesel cost of just below 82. So I saved £47.81 on this trip. As a summary, the EV increased its lead after almost 2600 miles total distance of 4 trips so far, with a total saving of £175. Yes, only 4 long trips so far between 445 and 946 in the individual trip distances. I will put the links of my previous journeys in the comment section so you can easily double check those as well. Another win for the EV, I'm afraid. Thank you for watching and I hope you join me in my car next week as well for another long drive. Until then, have a great time.